Lucas couldn't shake the memory of that night at the gallery. The photograph, Jaden's words. It all lingered in his mind like a song on repeat. Every time he tried to focus on his art, his thoughts drifted back to Jaden's gaze, the way he said, "That's because you've never met someone who sees you the way I do." Those words haunted him, stirring something deep inside, something Lucas had been too afraid to acknowledge. Was it admiration? Friendship? The more he thought about it, the clearer it became. He liked Jaden, really liked him. But the realization came with a wave of doubt. Why would Jaden ever feel the same way about me? Lucas thought. He was shy, awkward, and too closed off. Jaden was confident, charismatic, and seemed like he could have anyone. It felt like an impossible gap, a bridge too far to cross. Lucas found himself avoiding Jaden over the next few days, not intentionally but out of uncertainty. He wasn't sure how to act around him anymore. What if he messed things up by confessing? Or worse, what if Jaden didn't feel the same? But as Lucas withdrew, something strange started happening. Jaden began to grow distant too. They met again at the cafe, but something was different. Jaden's usual playful banter wasn't there, and Lucas noticed how his smiles didn't reach his eyes the way they used to. The conversations were shorter, more awkward. Silence filled the gaps where laughter used to be. "Everything okay?" Lucas asked one day, trying to sound casual, but his voice was tinged with concern. Jaden glanced up, startled, then forced a smile. "Yeah, everything's fine. Just busy with work, I guess." Lucas didn't believe him. There was something unspoken between them, a wall that hadn't been there before. Lucas wanted to ask, to push, but his own fears held him back. What if the distance was because Jaden was starting to lose interest? What if it was Lucas's fault? The thought made his chest tighten. Days passed, and the tension only grew. Neither of them seemed willing to address the growing gap between them, and misunderstandings began to pile up. It finally came to a head one evening when they found themselves walking side by side after a long day. The silence between them was palpable, and Lucas couldn't take it anymore. "Jaden, what's going on?" Lucas blurted out, stopping in his tracks. His heart pounded in his chest as he searched Jaden's face for answers. Jaden hesitated, his expression unreadable. "What do you mean?" "You've been distant," Lucas said, his voice cracking. "Did I do something? If I did, just tell me. It's not that," Jaden cut him off, his tone sharper than usual. "It's just, I don't know where we stand anymore, Lucas. One minute you're open and the next you're closed off. I don't know how to read you." Lucas felt a pang of guilt. He had been avoiding Jaden, but it wasn't because he didn't care. It was the opposite. He cared too much. "I'm sorry," Lucas whispered, looking down. "I didn't mean to push you away." "Then why?" Jaden asked, his frustration bubbling to the surface. "Why do you keep pulling back? You're not the only one who's confused here, Lucas." Lucas's breath hitched, and suddenly all the insecurities, all the doubts came flooding out. "Because I don't know what you want from me, Jaden. I don't know how to act around you anymore." The words hung in the air between them, heavy and raw. Jaden blinked, taken aback by Lucas's outburst. His frustration seemed to melt away, replaced by something softer, more vulnerable. "Lucas," Jaden began, his voice quiet now, "you think I don't know how you feel? I've liked you from the start. I've been trying to give you space because I didn't want to make you uncomfortable. I didn't want to pressure you." Lucas's eyes widened. He had never expected Jaden to admit something like that. For a moment, he was speechless, trying to process the weight of Jaden's words. You've liked me?" Lucas asked, almost in disbelief. Jaden nodded, his gaze steady. "Yeah, I have. But I couldn't tell if you felt the same way. I thought maybe I was coming on too strong, so I tried to back off, but I guess I messed things up." "No," Lucas said quickly. "You didn't mess anything up. I didn't think you'd feel that way about me." "Why not?" Jaden asked softly, taking a step closer. "You're thoughtful, talented, kind, and when you smile, Even just a little, it lights up the whole room. How could I not like you?" Lucas felt a blush creep up his neck, his heart pounding in his ears. Jaden's words felt like a warm embrace, something he'd never dared to believe he could have. "I like you too," Lucas confessed, his voice barely above a whisper. "I've liked you for a while. I just didn't know how to tell you." A moment of silence passed between them, but it wasn't the awkward kind. It was filled with unspoken understanding, a sense of relief that neither of them had to hide their feelings anymore. Slowly, Jaden reached out and took Lucas's hand. The gesture was simple, but it spoke volumes. Lucas looked down at their hands, fingers intertwined, and smiled. Really smiled this time. "Well, now we know," Jaden said with a gentle laugh, squeezing Lucas's hand. "Yeah," Lucas replied, his heart feeling lighter than it had in weeks. "Now we know." They stood there for a moment longer, just holding hands, the tension between them finally gone. The misunderstandings, the doubts, they all melted away, leaving just the two of them standing side by side, ready to face whatever came next.